How many of these sentences do you think are correct? The answer is none. First mistake I hear constantly is when people say je pense and then right after that they express whatever their thought is. You see, in English it's way more flexible. In English you could say I think that you are nice, or you could also say I think you are nice. I'm afraid French is not as flexible. In French you must say I think that you are nice. Je pense que tu es sympa. Okay, there's no way you could say je pense tu es sympa. So always remember to use the que right after je pense. Nous pensons que c'est trop tard. Il pense qu'il va arriver bientôt. Alright, let's move on and let's talk about the confusion between adverbs and adjectives. First of all, let's clarify what we're talking about. An adverb, as you can hear in the name, it adds an information about the verb, okay? It's like saying in English, quickly, never, always, easily. Whereas the adjectives gives an information about the noun. It describes a person or an object. It gives its characteristics. So, specifically, I want to talk about three of them. The difference between bien and bon, mal, mauvais, vite, rapide. Because people keep confusing these three pairs. So let's talk about it. Bien is literally saying well in English, whereas bon means good. For example, tu parles bien anglais. You speak well English. But ton anglais est très bon. Your English is very good. The first sentence, I was giving an information about how well this person speaks. Whereas in that second sentence, I'm giving an information about how good his English is. Now, mal and mauvais is the same idea. Mal is the adverb. It means badly. Whereas mauvais is the adjective. It means bad. For example, il cuisine très mal. He cooks very badly. But with mauvais, it will be like that. Sa nourriture est très mauvaise. His food is very bad. Okay, so with mal, I give an information about how well, or how bad in this case, he cooks. But with mauvais, I give an information about his food. His food is bad, mauvaise. And finally, vite and rapide. So that's also a very common mistake. Vite is an adverb. So if you want to translate it literally in English, it would be like quickly, fastly. So you do something vite. For example, il conduit trop vite. He drives too quickly. But sa voiture est très rapide. His car is very fast. So first example with vite, I was giving an indication about the verb, about the action. How fast does he drive? With rapide, I was giving an information about the car. It's a fast car. Next, I would like to talk about pour and pendant. This one also creates a lot of confusion. The thing is, they both mean for in English. You know, when you want to express a duration. So, what's the difference? You want to use pendant when you want to describe the duration of an event or an action. For example, j'ai dormi pendant 10 heures. I slept for 10 hours. Now, you want to use pour to talk about the intended or planned duration of a trip, of a stay, or of an absence. For example, j'ai réservé une chambre pour 2 nuits. I booked a room for 2 nights. So here I'm talking about my plan. I plan to stay 2 nights in your hotel. I haven't done it yet, but once I left the hotel, I will tell my friends, je suis resté pendant 2 nuits dans cet hôtel. I stayed for 2 nights in that hotel, okay? But this time it's no longer planned. I'm talking about the experience afterwards. Next up, visiter and rendre visite à. The thing is, with the verb visiter, it's extremely tempting because you have it in English. I visited that museum, I visited my friends, I visited Paris last year, etc. And that's why many people make that mistake. But in French, we make a distinction. We wouldn't use the verb visiter to talk about going to someone's place. No, we wouldn't do that. We would use visiter when we, for example, visit a city, a country, or a museum. Nous avons visité Rome l'année dernière. Nous avons visité Rome l'année dernière. We visited Rome last year. Or another example, j'ai visité le Louvre en juillet. J'ai visité le Louvre en juillet. I visited the Louvre Museum in July. Now, when we talk about people, we're going to use that expression. Rendre visite à. Okay, you need 3 words. Rendre visite à. Rendre is the verb, okay? So that's the one you want to conjugate. For example, je rends visite à ma grand-mère tous les lundis. Je rends visite à ma grand-mère tous les lundis. I visit my grandmother every Monday. Another example if you like. Nous rendons visite à nos amis ce soir. Nous rendons visite à nos amis ce soir. We're visiting our friends tonight. So keep that in mind. A French person wouldn't say nous visitons nos amis ce soir. That would sound a bit off. And maybe to help you, try to forget about, the English verb to visit someone, but think of the English expression to pay a visit to someone. So in terms of, length of the expression, it's closer to the French expression rendre visite à. And finally, and extremely important, we do not pronounce the final E in a French word. Well, let me give you some precision. First of all, when I talk about final E, I mean a plain E, okay? I'm not talking about an E with an accent of some sort, no, just a plain E. However, there's a couple of exceptions. So only with these words will you pronounce the letter E. In the case of these words, and only these words, you will pronounce the final E, okay? Like in ce, de, je, ne, le. Only those words, and they have in common to be one-syllable words, okay? So if you have a one-syllable word that ends with the letter E, you would pronounce that E, Any other word in the French language, the final E remains silent. Le téléphone, je mange, la danse, il parle, belle. And that's all I have for you today, guys. I hope these tips were helpful, and if so, let me know in the comments. Give a like to this video if you did enjoy it. Thank you for watching till the end. Merci beaucoup, à bientôt, au revoir.